So basically, it's just converting variable rates from staking protocols or lending protocols into fixed rates. And there's a bunch of cool things that you can do with Hyperdrive. So for example, you can fix a borrow position. So if you have let's say you're borrowing $10,000 on Aave, and you're gonna have some kind of variable rate of interest that you have to pay. If you purchase a short on Hyperdrive for the same amount of dollars, it's actually gonna lock you into a fixed rate. Because as the interest rate goes up on Aave, you're gonna be earning more money on the short. And if the interest rate went down on Aave, you're gonna be earning less money. So it actually ends up being the case that the fixed rate that you paid to open your short position is the only interest you have to pay over the course of the term. So that's just one example of kind of the magic of fixed rates. We're really excited to see what you guys come up with over the course of the hackathon. And come by the Delv booth and we'll kind of share ideas about how we could build cool stuff. So if you go to the GitHub Delv Tech, you're gonna see our open source Hyperdrive repo. This is where the smart contracts live. We also created a Hyperdrive Solidity starter repo. So this is just kind of like a repo that you can use to get a primer on how to integrate with the smart contracts using Solidity. So I'll try to keep things relatively quick. If there's questions, we can talk about how to use this later. But it's just a normal Foundry repo. We have some instructions here about how to build and use it. And it just includes a simple hello world example. So what this hello world does is it just opens a long position on Hyperdrive and then logs some data about it. And if you run our hello world test, which you can do with forge test VV, this is all in the README, it's actually going to run this example on a live pool that we have set up on mainnet, which is the SDI pool. So that's just kind of a nice way to get started. You'll know that you're actually able to open a long. We're over the course of the hackathon, we'll also spin up opening a short and adding liquidity. So in the event that you need to use any of those primitives for what you're building, you'll have this example set up and we can help you kind of add custom features to it. But yeah, that's pretty much it on the Solidity side. Like I said, look at our GitHub, look at our bounties, and come to the Delv booth, and we're happy to help you with any and all of this. So I'm going to pass it to Danny, and he's going to talk a little bit about building front ends with Hyperdrive.
Hey everyone, my name is Danny. I am the lead front end developer here at Delv. And like Alex mentioned, I just want to walk you through our Hyperdrive starter mono repo. So if you're interested in building front ends, and I'm just kind of curious, how many of you have built a front end, a Web3 front end of any kind? Maybe used VM or WAGMI or React. This will probably look familiar to some of you. But I want to just, walk you through this a little bit and then also show you the existing front-end Hyperdrive to maybe kind of solidify some of these concepts that Alex mentioned about the longs and the shorts. So before maybe jumping into the starter repo, I want to show off the Hyperdrive front-end that we have today. And like Alex mentioned, we've got different pools on Hyperdrive where you can open up a fixed rate or a variable rate position. So a good example here would be maybe the Lido Steth pool. And in the Lido Steth pool, you can see that if I were to spend 1 ETH in this pool, then I would receive about 1.1 and some change ETH at maturity. And you can see that it matures on the 18th of April. So I can just kind of buy this position, hold it in my wallet, come back in 6 months, and I'll have earned effectively about 3% on my ETH. And this is really great because it's kind of a set it and forget it yield position. If the fixed rate changes over time, you're locked in. You already bought your long. And as far as a counterparty for this, which is a really great question we got at our booth, so definitely come by if you have questions, and we'll be happy to answer them. The counterparty to this would be the short side of the market. And so if you are interested in variable rates, instead of the fixed rates, you could open a short. And in this example, let's say I want to earn yield on 1 ETH worth of deposit into Lido, then I only have to pay 0.015 ETH for that exposure. So you can see that over time, the longs and the shorts kind of work together and create trading volume in this pool. And depending on how much liquidity is in the pool, that will determine the size of the long or the size of the short that you can open. The third side of the market, because this is an AMM, this is going to be the supply side. So if you are interested in depositing into Lido, you could kind of use Hyperdrive as a sort of a surrogate for depositing into Lido, because when you deposit your ETH into Hyperdrive as liquidity, you will effectively be earning the Lido stETH rate on your deposit. And you're going to also earn trading fees whenever users open longs and shorts. So it's kind of a way to boost your exposure to Lido simply by being an LP on Hyperdrive. So there's some really cool market dynamics that you can explore with both the longs, shorts, and then as a sort of a long-term position, being an LP on Hyperdrive. You'll notice that the longs and the shorts have maturities. So they will expire at a certain point, and then you can close those positions. Whereas if you're an LP on Hyperdrive, you can just sort of set it and forget it. And as more people open longs and shorts, again, this being a 6-month pool, you don't have to do anything about rolling over your liquidity or any type of stuff like that. As an LP, it's pretty straightforward, and it'll feel a lot like just depositing in Lido. So this is the front end that we built for Hyperdrive. And I want to now spend some time talking about the starter repo that we wrote to kind of just give you a head start. You're not obligated to use this if you're interested in building on Hyperdrive, if you have a stack that you prefer. But I want to just kind of run you through this a little bit. This is using Turbo Repo, which is a way to structure. It's really nice for front ends because you can have apps and packages living in the same repo. Turbo Repo is made by Vercel, and their docs are fantastic. So don't want to spend too much time on that. But here in the README, and we'll jump into VS Code here in a moment. Here in the README, we've got some links here for you. So like I mentioned, if you want to build your own project from scratch, not use this as your boilerplate, we've got the Solidity starter repo linked here. We've got the front end that I just showed you. That entire front end is open source. So if you see something that you want to use, but that isn't yet in the starter repo, you're welcome to just go snatch our React hooks or whatever it is. Happy to help you crib off of the official front end repo. Then we've also got the contract ABIs. This will be things you're familiar with, especially if you use tools like VM and WAGMI or Ethers. You can just npm install our ABIs. You don't have to go hunt them down on Etherscan or anything. And then we've got this app config package. This is going to be where we keep all of our static metadata. So if you've ever gone through and had to make an RPC call for decimals and name and symbol, that is all captured in the app config. It is just a giant JSON object. You're welcome to console log it and see all the good information that's in there and kind of save your alchemy bill. And then we've got a fixed point math library. You're welcome to use whatever one you prefer, but this is one that we use in the Hyperdrive official front end. So if you need to multiply, the longs by their fiat price, to show that to your users, this is a great library for that. And then we've got our Hyperdrive SDK, which we'll see here in a minute, as well as VM bindings for that SDK. If any of you have ever used SDKs as a front-end developer, a lot of them go stale, or they end up with an outdated version of a Web3 library. So there's a really great way that we've architected this so that you can write your own bindings. And in this case, since VM kind of has the lion's share of usage for front end, we've gone ahead and already written VM bindings for the SDK. So that's kind of just kind of walk you through the README. Now I want to jump into VS Code real quick and just kind of walk you through what we've got here available to you out of the box. Can you all see that all right in the back? Okay, so real fast, we have a package here called core. The configs here, you probably won't need to touch those. But here, if you're interested in building some sort of developer tool, like a library or your own SDK, we've gone ahead and created a simple little package that it already has a build script. It's got TypeScript included, and it's an empty index file at the moment. But if you want, like I said, to build just an npm package on Hyperdrive, this could maybe give you a 6-hour head start on bootstrapping a TypeScript project. But I think more interesting here is going to be this front end that I mentioned. So just to kind of scroll through the package JSON real quick, got some basic Vite scripts, or Vite if you're an Anglophone. And we've got React query, some those packages that I mentioned. We'll look at those in a second. Rainbow Kit, if you've ever used Scaffold ETH, a lot of this stack is going to be similar to that. And I would definitely suggest going to Austin Griffith's talk on Scaffold ETH. He's a really great resource. Daisy UI is a component library. You're welcome to use whichever one you like, but this one's nice and lightweight. It's also written with Tailwind, so if you're familiar with Tailwind as a component library, it'll speed you up. And then since Vite does not have, it's unlike Next.js, it doesn't have its own router. We've gone ahead and included tan-stacked router for you if you're building a front end and you're going to have multiple pages. And again, the docs for all these libraries are extremely detailed. I think that's about it. That's what I need to cover here as far as what you get out of the box. So I want to go ahead and just jump into the folder structure here. And so here in the source directory, we've got our network just to start. So we've already created the query client for you. We've already created the WAGMI client for you. We are deployed on multiple chains. So if you want to build on the Ethereum mainnet pools, that's what this one's going to come with out of the box. If you do want to build on the Gnosis chain pools or the Linea or the base pools that we've got, you'll just want to add your own transports and RPC URLs to this WAGMI config. That might save you just a little bit of time. And then we do have a .env here with the mainnet RPC URL. If you want to integrate Wallet Connect, you'll need a project ID. And that's pretty much what you need to just get started. I've already gone ahead and done that before we started. So let's go ahead and just run this, and then we'll break down the code a little bit and set you loose. So this is the example front-end app. I made it ugly so you can make it pretty. And right now we're reading some information from the contracts. We're reading some of the information from that app config package that I mentioned. So right now there's 17 pools deployed across 4 chains. And then the first pool in that list is that Steth pool that we just looked at. And we can see that in real time, we've got some data coming from the SDK around the TVL of this pool. So I want to just walk through real quickly. We've got about 1 or 2 minutes left. Here in the SDK folder, we've gone ahead and added a get read hyperdrive and a get read write hyperdrive. You shouldn't need to edit these. You can just call them in your hooks. And then here in the UI directory, we've got our main.tsx. This will look very familiar for anyone who's done front end. But right here, that's where our code is going to live, and the rest is just going to be package code. And so here in the home view, this is what you just saw. Not going to go through all this JSX, but I do want to walk through some of these hooks just real quickly. All of this is documented, so feel free to read the comments here. But for that TVL number, I got to do a speed run here. For this TVL number, we have a use TVL hook, and that's calling that get read hyperdrive. And then from there, you can call get present value, which is going to give you that total value number that we saw in the front end. So this read hyperdrive is worth exploring. This is the entirety of the SDK in a single class. So if we were to look at all the other goodies that we can ask the smart contracts. You can, for example, get fixed APR. That might be a good one if you want to see what the fixed rate is for the longs. You can make your own custom hook that calls get fixed APR. And a bunch of other goodies in here. If you want to build a portfolio, you can grab a user's positions and build that front end. So I think I got to call it here. But again, if you want to come by the booth, we can chat about this, nerd out about front end development. Would love to talk to you. So yeah, thank you.